When AI kind of broached on the scene in 2023, I know a lot of the marketing clients that I talked to at the time, as I was stepping away from my agency at that point, they were kind of in the, I don't know about AI, I'm not sure. What have you found in that area, Casey?
Most of the time, they just expect it to be happening. I'm a little mean-hearted. We'll put it that way. I always respond with, well, do you use WordPress or Adobe? Because those all were brand new at some point, and somehow you're still using them. You don't have to take everything AI does with 100% accuracy and just post it. I think a lot of agencies were fearful that they're going to have to let off a lot of employees if they swapped over. The ones that I know, that hasn't been the case. There are a lot of people talking about AI in the marketing world, but it's, like you said, it's kind of 50-50 whether they're using it or not using it, or if they're using it behind closed doors and just not telling anybody that they're using it.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of that, absolutely.
There's no regulation in place. As a business owner, you need to have regulation in place for your company. Just because it's good and out there doesn't mean you necessarily need to have like a wild, wild west situation at your place of business.
Hi, and welcome to the AI Transformation Podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Mast, and I'm really excited today to have another gentleman with an amazing beard on the podcast. I mean, it's not every day I get to talk to somebody that's got an awesome beard, and as you know, I kind of like those. So, Casey, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. Casey is a marketing guy, kind of like I am, except he's still in the industry, unlike me, where I stepped away from it, and I'm really excited to have a conversation. Casey, for those people that may not be familiar with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and who you serve?
So my name's Casey Watkins. I've been doing internet marketing since 2008, 2009. I did it way before then, back in high school for a company my aunt was making. That was like 1998, 99. So I've been doing this for quite some time. I mainly service small businesses. So your mom and pop shops, they're just so much fun because they actually want to do this type of stuff and get their sites ranking. And so just bringing in AI into their world is a game changer for most of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and you and I are probably biased. I know it's good to meet somebody else that's been around for a while. I sold my first website in 1995. So, we did it off a PowerPoint at the time. I remember I was working for an IT company, and we got approached because, of course, back then everybody reached out to IT companies when they wanted websites. And it was a regional international airport, and the call came into me. I was in the sales team, and I went to the boss, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And he goes, if you can sell it, he says, I'll hire the people to build it. So we grabbed one of our marketing people, we laid everything out on a PowerPoint, and guess what? We sold it. And I remember walking into his office and going, hey, it's sold. And he's like, what are we going to do? I'm like, here's the PowerPoint they bought. You can go figure out how to make it a website. So that was kind of the beginning of that journey, which obviously has changed a lot over time. But what I was getting to is I think AI, again, you and I are probably biased, but I think AI is such a natural fit for marketing because of how it can help us do things faster. And at least in my experience, even when I was running the agency, the thing that I think was most frustrating to me was I had lots of ideas. Being an ADD guy, I had plenty of ideas of what to do for ourselves and for our clients, but there often wasn't enough time to get them all done. So yes, I know, for example, we needed to have a weekly email nurture that went out to every one of our clients, every one of our clients' clients. But the reality is it was really hard to take the time to do that and get the client to want to invest in that. And now with some AI and some good prompts and a bit of training, we can create those sequences in a reasonable amount of time and add more value to the client while still not having to take necessarily more time than we did a year ago working on that client, because we're able to squeeze in more value. What are your thoughts on that, and where do you see AI fitting into that for the average small business as they do that, Casey?
So the more AI progresses, the easier it's becoming. So like I take my clients and I'll set them down and be like, hey, we're just going to have a 3-hour talk about your business. And I record the whole thing. I try to talk as little as possible so I can get their voice in the conversation, how they talk, how they communicate. Because most of them, if you just sit down and talk and have a conversation about their business, they're going to talk as themselves. Their personality is going to come across, how they run their business, what they're expecting out of their business. And then you could take that and grab that transcript and put it in ChatGPT. And basically, once you have it, it's gold. Like for
Yeah.
me, with my small business clients, the first thing, like any of them I have, any of them do, is we're going to set up your Google business profile, and all I need you to do is get reviews. And for some of them, that's easier to do. Some of them, that's hard to do. I have a fishing guide that takes out 3 or 4 different guests a day and puts them on fish. For him, getting 5-star reviews is super easy. I have another one that does cabin deck cleaning or staining and cleaning, but he does one every 3 weeks. So him
Sure.
getting reviews all the time is rough. But I will take their transcript and how they run their business, use make.com, and auto reply to every review they got coming in with AI. That way I can reply how they should be replying, throwing in all of the little extras that I need as a marketer, like location-based keywords in there, but make it flow and personable to every person that leaves a reply.
What you just shared, I think, is something that so many business owners miss when they are looking at AI. They download ChatGPT or something like that. They try it out and they go, that wasn't very good, because they didn't train it on anything. They didn't give it. I love what you said there about interviewing and uploading that transcript, because when you do that, the amount of data that you've given the AI model to work with, even just analyzing the tone and style as the client was talking to you, so that the things you're doing, that email campaign, that Facebook ad, the Google ad, the web copy, whatever we're writing now is going to reflect them very accurately, and it's going to include all the information about their business. I want to challenge anybody listening. If you run an agency or if you're a business and you've ever used AI and thought, that just didn't work, go re-listen to what Casey just shared, because that is your clue. And if it's for your business, have AI interview. Have you ever tried that, Casey? Have you ever just went to ChatGPT and said, hey, here, I want to accomplish this. Will you interview me and keep asking me one question at a time until you've got all the information you need in order to respond? Have you ever tried that?
I've done it a little bit, like when setting up brands for specific things, but I haven't went in that depth of just keep asking me questions and I'll keep responding. So I do love the voice chat feature on the phone.
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
That makes it nice, because I'm going to have to try that with that feature. Because like I'll do, especially when I'm driving in the car on the way to places, I'll have full conversations with ChatGPT just so I can, well, number one, brain dump and get it out there and have it stored.
Me too. Yes.
Because by the time I make it to wherever I'm going, it's already gone again. So I've got to have someplace to brain dump. But that's actually pretty cool. I'm going to have to try that.
I found it works really well, especially when I'm trying to brainstorm, or if, I find myself, I don't know about you, Casey, but I find regularly, I'm not always sure what information that I should really give ChatGPT. I mean, I kind of have an idea, but I'm not always sure. I'll give an example. I'm not a press release expert. So if I was writing a press release, I'm not sure exactly what information it really needs to write an amazing press release. But if I tell it, I want you to write a press release, here's the background information I think you need, and then I end it with, ask me any more questions you need answered. It's amazing. ChatGPT and Claude, any of them, they're smart enough to then come back, as you know, and go, well, here's 3 more things I really need to know in order to give you a great answer on that. And it can be super effective. I think that's just an amazing tip, and an amazing way to utilize it. I'm curious, when AI kind of broached on the scene in 2023. I know a lot of the marketing clients that I talked to at the time, as I was stepping away from my agency at that point, they were kind of in the, I don't know about AI, I'm not sure. The last 6 months or so, and now I'm no longer in the agency space, I'm doing training and consulting and that about AI, but I'm now noticing, and I'm curious because I'm not sure if it's just my audience or it's everybody, but businesses really seem to be embracing AI as it relates to their marketing and almost expecting that the agency they're working with is understanding it. What have you found in that area, Casey?
Most of the time, they just expect it to be happening. There's very few, like, depending on corporate size, some of them are still a little antsy. They're a little slower to react. But most, especially in the small business side, they're expecting you to use it and wanting you to know what you're doing when using it. So I would say, like, I know of one corporation that they still don't let their people use it, but they're more of the government side of a business. So I kind of, like me, I'm like, y'all, you should be using it at least in your help desk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Y'all have everything documented. Y'all have processes for everything. You have tech guidebooks for all your products and services. Y'all should have a custom GPT that your guys can use just to ask it a question, and it'll spit out an answer how to fix the problem.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like you, I can't imagine a business that has a customer service desk that doesn't have essentially a knowledge base and a custom GPT, because faster than I can look it up in any manual or on any intranet or anything else. I mean, it's funny. I think back 10 years ago, we actually had a pretty good arm of our web business building company intranets for customer service departments because those teams needed that data in one spot. And so we'd build that out on an intranet, give them great search capabilities. We never fathomed today the fact that you could just give all that information to ChatGPT and literally have your customer support. Even better than that, technically, I mean, it could be listening to the call, transcribing on the fly, and literally giving the customer service rep options of, do you need to explain how to do this? Do you need to explain? And then a link that would, boom, there it is.
Yeah.
It kind of blows my mind to think about the value that could bring to a customer service team, and candidly, how relatively easy it is to set up. I mean, that's not a terribly difficult process to go through.
No,
I think
that's a simple scenario.
What do you say to the businesses that are out there? And I don't think there's as many of them anymore, but there's still some, especially in the agency world, who are like, look, AI is not authentic. I'm not going to do it. It's going to hurt us. How do you respond to them? It's a valid opinion, and I get where they're coming from, but how do you respond to them when, and I know about you, but I meet them at different masterminds I'm at and people like that, and they're like, no, it's just, I'm not doing AI. It's not going to be there. How do you respond to them when you hear that? Or you just kind of go, wow, that's fair enough. Each their own.
I'm a little, we'll go with mean-hearted.
Okay.
We'll put it that way. I always respond with well, do you use WordPress or Adobe? Because those all were brand new at some point, and somehow you're still using them. If you don't have to take everything AI does with 100% accuracy and just post it.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
I do have a couple of close friends that still don't want to write company blog posts with AI. And I'm like, you don't have to, but you can get 98% of the way there and have it scheduled as a draft in your WordPress site. So Monday morning, you just got to go through, add all your personal touches to it, and post it. So instead of you spending 8 hours Monday writing a blog post, you're spending an hour making sure it's actually coming from you and your personal touches.
I love that. I talk to so many businesses that, like like what you're saying, they kind of expect that if I use AI, it's going to do everything for me, when in reality, it makes it easier. It's not
Yeah.
about taking that 4 hour, okay, I need to spend a half a day immersed to write a blog post, and now it's going to be done in 4 seconds. Like you said, it's turning that into 45 minutes to an hour instead of 4 hours.
Yeah.
And that's where I find the real leverage comes through and makes a world of difference. I'm curious from your perspective. When I talk to agencies, that's my background. So I talk to a lot of agencies. And one of the fears I always hear agencies come up with is the fact that, well, if I start using AI, clients are going to expect me to drop my rates. My response to them has always been, no, I think they're going to expect more value if you position it that way. I'm curious, what have you seen in the marketplace as that's happened? Because I believe agencies can actually set themselves apart from their brethren by leveraging AI to deliver more value to their clients without reducing rates, possibly even increasing rates. But what have you seen from a practical perspective, Casey?
So for most of my agency buddies, they have kept their rates the same. They just output a little extra. So,
Yeah.
like, one of them, instead of doing one article per week, since they implemented it to where it's only taking 30, 45 minutes an article instead of 2 employees a full day worth of work, now they'll do 2 or 3 articles a week to offset it.
Exactly.
And the quality is way higher. The customer's benefiting more because now they're showing up for a lot more long-term searches. So it really is a win-win for both. I think a lot of agencies were fearful that they're going to have to let off a lot of employees if they swapped over, and the ones that I know, that hasn't been the case. They've just better utilized their employees.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's interesting. You made a comment in there that I know, and I'm probably dating it, but I find, agency owners tend to be in one of two camps. Either we're embracing AI and we love it and they see the value, or they're on the other side of the river, which is, I'm not going there. But you made the comment that I think is so absolutely true, in that not only can we deliver a bit more and more value, but that many times as marketers, the content we're creating, that web copy, that landing page copy, those emails, that ad copy, is actually better than what we were able to do a year or two ago. I believe because we have so much more information, and we can now focus on the things that need to matter, that you and I as humans need to do, and not doing the drudgery. Can you expand on that a little bit from your perspective? Do you believe that using AI can actually deliver better quality products than what we could do prior to it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because, like, for me, I have to outsource my writing because you can ask anybody that knows me really well. I am not a good writer. I am not a good speller. Math was my class in high school. So for me, outsourcing every article I write, even though I'm outsourcing it, it still takes time because I still have to go hunt down a writer on a specific topic. I still have to go make sure that they actually wrote what I was talking about and didn't just lose their mind. Whereas with AI, now I just have one person that's my editor. I'm not looking for 100 different writers on different topics. I just have one editor that proofs and knows enough about the customer to know this falls within their guidelines.
Yeah.
So it definitely frees up my time because now everything's just automatically populated on the customer site, and my editor just logs in to make sure everything's good. So it freed up. I will say it's more work up front, but once it's set up right and your AIs are all properly working, then freedom of time now to do more important things like talking sales or talking to clients, expanding on what they're trying to accomplish, all that adds up in the long run for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about you. You run a podcast talking about AI and marketing. Tell us a little bit about your podcast and why you decided to kind of head that direction with some of what you're doing.
So my podcast is basically, all about AI and marketing. I I was part of State of Search. They do an annual conference. I was the president last year in 2024. Um, there are a lot of people talking about AI in the marketing world, but it's, like you said, it's kind of 50-50 whether they're using it or not using it, or if they're using it behind closed doors and just not telling anybody that they're using it.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of that. Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
so I just, like, for me, I wanted to bring it more into the public face for business owners and for marketers that, yes, there are issues with it still. It's not perfect. And
It's such an important realization too.
yeah, and like I've had Carrie O'Brien on, I went probably a month ago now, but she talked about, like, there's no regulation in place. As a business owner, you need to have regulation in place for your company. Just because it's good and out there doesn't mean you necessarily need to have, like, just a wild, wild west situation at your place of business. It needs
Exactly.
to be like, you can, like we were talking earlier, you could set up a customer support ChatGPT, but it doesn't necessarily mean that your product team needs to be making all the materials for the product from ChatGPT, because the ChatGPT doesn't know everything, whereas your product team needs to be inputting stuff properly.
I often talk about how I believe that AI amplifies skill and experience because I know some people are like, "Oh my gosh, it's going to take our jobs," and I don't. Will it displace some workers? Yes, it will. I get that, but you know what? So did the PC, and so did the internet, and so did the internal combustion engine. I mean, yes,
Yeah,
there will be some of that. That's advancement, but I'm a big believer that AI really does. It needs us because you know I can start my computer and I know this sounds ridiculous and bring up ChatGPT and I can stare at it all day long and nothing's going to happen. I have to do
yeah,
something. It's funny. I watched a video the other day. It was shared by a peer of mine and about how AI supposedly formed an LLC in a state without any intervention. And it was cool and it did a lot of stuff. Don't get me wrong. But I asked one simple question, and I'm like, but who told it to do it? Well,
yeah.
that doesn't count. And I'm like, no, but it does count because
It does count.
and who gave it the payment information on how to pay the state for the fee? Well, yeah, we had to put our credit card in. I could say then the video in my mind, and we see a lot of that, it was misleading because the AI didn't actually do it. It followed instructions. Somebody, by the
Yep.
way, gave it all the instructions on what it had to do in order to do that, and then it just followed the plan. I think a lot of people are a little confused about that. They're seeing that AI, like you said, maybe a bit beyond where it really is. This is not the sentient AI that we saw in Star Trek or that maybe we saw in Terminator or anything like that. This is an incredible predictive model that has access to tremendous amounts of data and even on a daily basis amazes me sometimes with what it can do, but it's not sentient yet. It's not there. It needs us in that mix. What's your perspective on the human factor of AI and the importance of that?
So I'm a firm believer that if it is only as good as the human is. So if you're trying to get it to where it's never going to be fully automated, like
Right.
there's, like, I use make.com and I automate a lot of things with it, but it still takes my input. I still have to give it either spreadsheets or databases or instructions on what I want it to do. And
Exactly.
it depends on, it's really how good are my instructions. Because there are some times that I will program it and tell it to do things that it spits out answers, and I'm like, where did that come from? And it's all based on me.
hmm
As long as my instructions are good, it'll be good. But as soon as my instructions go bad, then it's all based on human interaction. So
It really is a garbage in, garbage out type of scenario, I believe.
yeah, yeah, it's it's weird to think about because I never really thought of like marketing as there's always someone to polish me up, make me look good. With ChatGPT, it makes me look good, but it only does as well as I tell it to do.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Well, speaking of that, one of the things I mentioned in our pre-call just briefly is I love to ask guests, if I'm a business owner and I'm out there and maybe last year in 2024 we dabbled in AI a little bit, we played around, but I'm now ready to go, okay, I need to get this rolled out in my organization. I need to get it to my team. We need to figure out how to empower them to leverage AI. Generally, people seem to be in one of two schools of thought. Either I expect it all to happen tomorrow, or I don't want to do it at all because it's just for whatever reason. I don't think either of those is the right solution. What would your recommendation be, Casey, for that business owner? It's like, okay, we've dabbled with it, we've played with it, we understand what you're saying, but now I need to really figure out in 2025, how am I going to implement this in my teams? What advice would you have for that business owner or that business leader?
Make a 90 to 120 day plan. So spend the first 15, 20 days gathering up all your sales documents, all your support docs. The better you train your ChatGPT, the better results you're going to get. And then pick something small, like do Google review replies. It's small, it's simple. You can start testing it out and then roll it out to other features, other products. Like you can just roll it into things. Once you've got one set up and it's answering properly, you basically could just take that whole bunch of data and rules, roll it into Google weekly updates for your Google business profile. And then once you got both of those working, make it into a blog post. All you're doing is building and taking baby steps. If you try to do it all in one weekend, like I've tried to do it, and I do this all the time, try to bust it out in one weekend. The next week, you're fixing everything. Maybe take a couple weeks to fix everything because
been there and
you're gonna
done
make
that.
mistakes.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
It happens that way. So there's no reason to. You don't have to rush. You're not falling behind the curve. This is just getting started, and every day new things are coming out. I mean, you got Gemini is free now. DeepSeek. That I mean, technically that's been out a couple of years, but it really took off a week ago.
Yeah, that new R1 model they released is kind of a whole new level of capabilities. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're not behind the curve. Take your time. There's no reason to get in a rush and slowly start building up.
Yeah. For that business owner, Casey, that gets overwhelmed, I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and they're like, I'm overwhelmed. There's so much going on. I don't know where to start. What tools would you recommend that business owner start with to keep things simple? Just like you said, you don't have to do everything. What tools would you recommend from your experience that they start with so they can avoid that shiny object syndrome that a lot of us entrepreneurs have and going, oh, I want the latest and greatest. How might you recommend they get started as far as tools?
So I know there's a lot out there, especially for AIs. I would stick with ChatGPT, and just because right now it's the simplest and most worldwide used. And I say that because even like my mom and dad will use it, and like when she writes a text message to the family, she runs it through ChatGPT just to make sure it sounds right. I'm like, if my parents are using it and they're using it on their phone, they're using the app version of ChatGPT. So I would stick with that one. If you're wanting to automate the process, make.com. There's also another one called N8N. I believe that's .com too. That one's good. I haven't used that one.
I see a lot of people talking about it though.
Yeah, it's one that it's on my list. Like, I have a list of different tools to test out. That one's
I'm
on
with
there
you.
because they're rolling out so much stuff. Images, you could either use ChatGPT. It does pretty good. If you're wanting to get way more creative, though, I would probably use Leonardo.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the probably 3 tools I would stick to. You can do a fourth. You could use Syllabi to do videos.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time in Syllabi.
It's a great platform. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing, like this week, I'll probably do 60 to 70 videos using Syllabi. So
Wow.
I use it a whole lot.
Are you doing faceless videos with them, or are you doing like avatars, or what are you doing with those, Casey?
Faceless right now. So
Okay.
I'm in the process of trying to get all my lighting right so I could do avatar videos, because I want to try. They do avatars, so I want to try it in landscape and in short form vertical videos with it, and just see how it works.
Mm-hmm.
See how they do for views and engagement. Right now, I have a religious channel that's 100% faceless, and I started it September 1st, and it's already fully monetized.
Wow.
So, yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's doing really good. Right now, I've been a little lackluster with everything that's been going on business-wise to actually spend some time on it, but it still gets 2,000 to 3,000 views a day.
I just out of curiosity, I got to ask, what's the name of that channel?
Aether Faith, Aether, and then Faith.
Got to look that one up. That's impressive to have built that quite so fast. I love that. Yeah, you see you've got over 2,000 subscribers in there already. Faceless video. Got to take a look at that. I think, that's a great tip, Casey, because I think so many business owners, they don't want to be on video. They're, for whatever reason, they don't want to press record. And I would say that's by far more common than anything else. But with tools now like Syllabi, you don't need to necessarily do it. I mean, I still think it's best. I think, get on and show your beard. It's a good thing. But, it's not, we now have other options that can get us a long way down that road, certainly better than not doing videos at all. So I love that and love seeing what you've done there. I'll definitely be taking a look at that and checking that out. Casey, for people that want to reach out to you and want to connect and learn how to, whatever, what's the best way for them to reach out to you, Casey?
So I would suggest just following my YouTube channel, Casey the Marketing Guy on YouTube. Also on Facebook, it's casey.watkins.seo on Facebook.
Perfect.
Those are the best 2 ways to get in touch with me and follow what I'm doing. So
I'll make sure we get both of those links in the notes and stuff. So if you guys are interested, reach out and do that. Go ahead, Casey. I interrupted you. Go ahead and finish.
Oh, I was just going to say I got other social media platforms, but I'm on there just long enough to post and hop back off. If you want to interact, it's Facebook or YouTube.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Well, Casey, I want to thank you for the time you've taken today. I know you're busy. You've got a lot going on. Really appreciate your time in getting this recorded and getting everything set. Great insights. And I love to see how you're embracing things in a very practical, bring it home type of way. So thank you so much for your time. For our audience, for everybody that's listening or watching on video or audio, we thank you guys so much. We love having you here, and we just want to thank you for joining us. We'd love it if you would like the episode, if you'd subscribe to the podcast, and obviously if there's any suggestions, we'd love your feedback as well. With that, everyone, make it an amazing day. Bye, everyone.